Today on the Decluttering Club podcast, I want to share with you the idea of what we call happiness islands.
You are listening to the Decluttering Club podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Mueller, and it's my mission to equip women to declutter their homes, their time, and their lives so that they have energy for what matters most.
Hopefully, by talking about happiness islands, I could get a little bit happier because I've had a little bit of a frustrating day. But that's okay because I am a human being, you are a human being, and we're going to have days when we are not incredibly happy. This is a concept that I learned from one of my mentors, and his name is Richard Koch. He has written a number of books about the 80-20 principle. I have read them all. They are amazing. And he talks about this idea of happiness islands. And I'm going to read to you exactly what he says. Happiness islands are the times when we are the happiest, cut off by warm, gently lapping seas from the worries and woes of the rest of our lives. They can happen in life now or for sustained periods in different parts of our life. Maybe you were happiest in college or living with a friend or friends or doing a particular job. But you can swim to your happiness island at any time if you do the right thing. Oh, isn't this exciting? So for Richard, a happiness island is more about like an experience. It's not necessarily like a thing or a place or a spot in your home. This is particularly critical, actually, for decluttering because you can't just take stuff away. You can't just throw stuff out or donate or sell or whatever it is you're doing. You can't just like subtract without adding something else back in. If you clear off a table and it's just empty, what is going to happen? I promise you that sooner or later, probably sooner, either you or your partner or your kids or your cat is going to come along and there's going to be something on that space unless you do something about it. Nature abhors a vacuum. Have you ever heard that phrase? We can't just clear a patch of dirt or a patch of floor or a table or a drawer. We can't just clear it and expect it to stay that way. That is not a thing. We can use happiness islands to replace the clutter that we are getting rid of. And this is so cool. And this is why I'm not a minimalist, because I don't think we can just like subtract and have that be sustainable. Probably most of you are not minimalist. And so you don't want to live necessarily with less. You just want to live with different things. And maybe the total volume is actually less, but we can't just have the goal to be, okay, we want clear, empty spaces. This is not the prairie here. I want to give you an idea as you are taking things away, which is what decluttering is. It's not rearranging. It's not putting stuff away. That's not decluttering. You can't just get rid of things without replacing those things with something else, and hopefully not in equal quantity. I want you to create happiness islands as physical places in your house. And they could be big. It could be an entire room, might be a happiness island, or maybe it's like one tiny little spot. For me, the key to this whole idea is you can swim to your happiness island at any time if you do the right thing. And what is the right thing? The right thing is just to think about it. The right thing is to look at it. The right thing is to experience it and enjoy it. So many of you have been waiting to be happy. You say things like, I'm working on my house, but I'm not done yet. What you mean by that is you cannot enjoy your house right now because you are not done. This is not true. You can enjoy your house right now, even though you are not done decluttering. If you can't enjoy your kitchen or your house or your bedroom or whatever until you are done, then you're going to be waiting a really long time. And don't freak when I say that, but like maybe this is going to take a minute. How long did it take? 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. How long did it take for your house to get to look the way it looks right now? And the part that's even more of an issue is that you may finish. Let's say you get your kitchen to where it is perfect and it is amazing and you love it. Guess what? You might not be happy. You might be like, I am not really feeling that great. For me, a lot of time it was like when my kids sleep through the night, when my kids do this, when they reach another milestone, then I can relax. It wasn't so much happy because I was happy with them, but that future point in time comes and there's something else going on. It is a really big mistake to delay your happiness until some future point in time. I highly recommend against it. Your feelings do not come from the state of your house. how clean it is, how messy, how cluttered, how uncluttered. It doesn't matter what your house looks like. That is not what makes you happy or unhappy or stressed or anxious or any of that. Your feelings come from this story that you are telling about the state of your house. Let's say you have a craft room. Let's say you share this craft room with someone else, your best friend. You have been on a decluttering journey and you don't like it messy. And so you look at a craft room and it's got paint and yarn and whatever, and everything is everywhere. And you look at it and go, oh my God, this is a nightmare. I'm so stressed out about this. And you feel very anxious and stressed. But let's say your best friend is not on a decluttering journey and she likes it this way. So she looks at the yarn and the paint and the quilt fabric and the projects and she goes, ooh, I love this. And she feels happy. She feels creative. She feels excited and inspired. Same room, different feelings. It's not the room that causes the feelings. It's the story. It's the thoughts. That is why it is super important for us to know that. And also to not wait until things look the way that we want them to look. And I'm not saying we don't want to clean up. I'm not saying you don't want to declutter. Of course you do. But also be aware that you can be happy or calm or peaceful or whatever you want to be right now. So what does a happiness island look like in my world? Let me explain to you what some of my happiness islands are. Some of my happiness islands right behind me, like these beautiful plants. I look at those plants and I just breathe a sigh of relief. I just kind of exhale. They make me happy. My kitchen table, like I work really hard and it's not always clear, but 75% of the time, my kitchen table is clear. I have like a centerpiece on it. So I have a runner down the middle of it right now. It's a beautiful wood kitchen table. It's fairly new. I have this beautiful light hanging above it. And I have this marble bowl on the kitchen table and it's got fruit in it. So looking at that, that is a happiness island. Now, let's get back to what I said a couple minutes ago. If the table was completely clear, if it was completely empty, I can promise you it would be a magnet for stuff. People would go, oh, there's an empty table. And it would be a dumping ground. But it's not, because I have put things there on purpose, intentionally. This is a place to rest your eyes. This is not just an empty space waiting for crap to land. No, this is a happiness island. This is why we want to put something there so that it is taking up a little bit of space. It is actually like set up that way on purpose. I have this jewelry box and it's got these cute, tiny little squares in it. And each one is just about big enough for a pair of earrings. And so I look at that and I'm like, oh, this is so organized. It's got this nice soft texture. It's pretty. That's a happiness island. The idea here is that we're creating these in amongst the clutter so that you could do this today. And as you are decluttering, you notice your happiness island. So maybe for you, it's like a pretty throw pillow on the couch. Maybe the couch is a problem for you and you tend to like dump stuff there, or other people do. Well, maybe you decide, I'm going to try and make this a spot that is actually a joy to look at as opposed to an eyesore. So maybe you put that nice throw pillow there or that blanket and you straighten it and you put it just so. Maybe the other end of the couch is still a dumping ground, but at least you have that corner. Over time, you may actually discover that that corner actually expands out. And before you know it, the whole couch is a happiness island for you. So you may have some family photos. Maybe they need a little dusting. Maybe you need to clean off the frames. Maybe you need to rearrange them. Maybe you need to pull out some that you haven't been looking at for a little while. Maybe you have a collection of something, figurines or mementos or something. Maybe you spend a little bit of extra time arranging them and set them up in a new way that you can see. Maybe make a little white space. Maybe setting aside a little spot on a windowsill or put a pretty pillow on your bed. Now, all of a sudden, it's not just your bed, it's a happiness island. So take a space that you like and give it that little extra touch. That little touch will make all the difference. And then you naming this as a happiness island. Now it's not just another place in your house, but it's like a special place. And then every time you look at it, you can remember life is good. Like this is a spot that I have made just for me, for my family. Whenever I look at it, I want to be happy. Like Richard says, you can swim to your happiness island anytime you want. And you can do that in your mind. You don't have to go and declutter the whole garage before you're happy. It's available to you immediately, like today, this very minute. And isn't that like the most exciting thing of all? I want you to declutter 100%, because when we declutter, we have less stuff. and more life. You see that shift? We let go of the stuff and then life shows up in a good way, in the best way. I want you to have happiness. I want you to have satisfaction and fulfillment right now. I don't want you to wait for it. If you only think happy thoughts, sooner or later, you're going to look around and go, this place is still a dump. This place still has too much stuff. If you're only doing the decluttering work, you might get to the point where your house has nothing left in it and it's very minimal. But if you didn't do this work, then you're not going to feel the full effect of it. So it's super important to do both of them. What kind of happiness islands can you create? Leave me a comment on our socials. Let me know if you can upload a picture because I want to see, and I will be sharing some of mine as well on social. All right, everybody, I'll see you next week.
That's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review. It would really help us to get the word out. And if you'd like to continue your decluttering journey with us, find us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Decluttering Club or on our website at thedeclutteringclub.com.